Everyone, Haribol, Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to today's Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's reading of Bhagavatam. We are going to continue where we were yesterday, and that's was verse 19 of the chapter 28, entitled Kapila's Instructions on the Execution of Devotional Service.
Which
It's 28. Probably the bookmark is somewhere near. Maybe it's not correct, but it's somewhere in that area. So one Bhagavatam is probably right one, like yours, right?
Yeah, it's 27 by 1.
Oh, it's 27, okay.
Which page?
Just check the bookmark first, if you can find it. You see at the top?
Chapter 28.
So
Text.
see if you're...
Text 19, right, Prabhu?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay, so since we found where we left off, we're going to recite glorification verses of Srimad Bhagavatam of Sri Sanatana Goswami from Sri Krishna Lila Stava. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satvala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drikprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kali Dvanto Ditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita Paramananda Patnaya Prema Vakshaksharayate Sarvanda Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume Madheka Bandho Matsangin Madgoro Matmahadana Manishtaraka Madbhagya Madananda Namostute Asadu Sadhu Tadain Atini Chocha Taraka Hana Muncha Kadachin Mam Primna Hrit Kantayo Spura. Translation. A nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all of the worlds. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali, you are the exact image of Sri Krishna. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read, your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone, you are Sri Krishna himself. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me, always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. So we're continuing reading for the next half an hour or so of this purest of the pure Puranas. Translation, verse 19. Thus, always merged in devotional service, the yogi visualizes the Lord standing, moving, lying down, or sitting within him. For the pastimes of the Supreme Lord are always beautiful and attractive. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The process of meditating on the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself and the process of chanting glories and pastimes of the Lord are the same. The only difference is that hearing and fixing the mind on the pastimes of the Lord is easier than visualizing the form of the Lord within one's heart. As soon as one begins to think of the Lord, especially in this age, the mind becomes disturbed, and due to so much the process of seeing the Lord within the mind is interrupted. When there is sound vibrated praising the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, however, one is forced to hear. That hearing process enters into the mind, and the practice of yoga is automatically performed. For example, even a child can hear and derive the benefit of meditating on the pastimes of the Lord simply listening to a reading of Bhagavatam that describes the Lord as he is going to the pasturing ground with his cows and hearing includes applying the mind. In this age of Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya has recommended that one should always engage in chanting and hearing Bhagavad Gita. The Lord also says that the Mahatmas Great souls always engage in the process of chanting the glories of the Lord, and just by hearing derive the same benefit. Yoga necessitates meditation on the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, whether he's standing, moving, lying down, etc. Text 20. In fixing his mind on the eternal form, the yogi should not take a collective view of all his limbs, but should fix the mind on each individual limb of the Lord. Purport. The word Muni is very significant. Muni means one who is very expert in mental speculation or in thinking, feeling, and willing. He is not mentioned here as a devotee or a yogi. Those who try to meditate on the form of the Lord are called Munis, or less intelligent, whereas those who render actual service to the Lord are called Bhakti Yogis. The thought process described below is for the education of the Muni. In order to convince the yogi that the absolute truth, or Supreme Personality of Godhead, is never impersonal at any time, the following verses prescribe observing the Lord in his personal form, limb after limb. To think of the Lord as a whole is impersonal. Therefore, it is recommended here that one first think of his lotus feet, then his ankles, then his thighs, then the waist, then the chest, then the neck, then the face, and so on. One should begin from the lotus feet and gradually rise to the upper limbs of the transcendental body of the Lord. Text 21. The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt and a lotus. Anyone knows what's a goad? Prod that, yeah. Okay.
Or some animal.
Something like some spikes. With some spikes? Something sharp?
Yeah.
Or is it just a stick?
Not too sure.
So you wouldn't say, otherwise you would say stick, goad. Something sharp. Just
It might.
guess so.
Just something that you don't you know.
So yeah.
Something that move.
It's not
When
so.
you're herding cattle.
Yeah.
When you're herding cattle.
You have goat.
You have a little stick and you kind of stick it.
Goat.
Yeah, go on.
Can be any stick. Correct. So it's not so common to have goat. So I say, hey, where's your? What's the goat? Maybe now you can't say.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you are from too much. So the goat, a banner, and a lotus, and a thunderbolt. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the of the moon, and dispels the gloom of one's heart. Thick gloom of one's heart. Purport. The Mayavadi says that because one is unable to fix his mind on the impersonal existence of the Absolute Truth, one can imagine any form he likes and fix his mind on that imaginary form. But such a process is not recommended here. Imagination is always imagination and results only in further imagination. A concrete description of the eternal Lord is given here. The Lord's soul is depicted with distinctive lines resembling a thunderbolt, a flag, a lotus flower, and a goad. The luster of his toenails, which are brilliantly prominent, resembles the light of the moon. If a yogi looks upon the marks of the Lord's soul and on the blazing brilliance of his nails, then he can be freed from the darkness of ignorance in material existence. This liberation is not achieved by mental speculation, but by seeing the light emanating from the lustrous toenails of the Lord. In other words, one has to fix his mind first on the lotus feet of the Lord if he wants to be freed from the darkness of ignorance in material existence. Text 22. The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of the Ganges, which source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts, her mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. Wow, that's like this sentence. The Lord's feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time. Okay. It's a long purport. In this verse, the position of Lord Shiva is specifically mentioned. The impersonalists suggest that the Absolute Truth has no form and that one can therefore equally imagine the form of Vishnu or Lord Shiva or the goddess Durga or their son Ganesha. But actually, the Supreme Personality of God, it is the Supreme Master of everyone. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bhritya. The Supreme Lord is Krishna, and everyone else, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, not to mention other demigods, is a servant of Krishna. The same principle is described here. Lord Shiva is important because he is holding on his head the holy Ganges water, which has its origin in the foot wash of Lord Vishnu. In the Hari Bhakta Vilas by Sanatami, it is said that anyone who puts the Supreme Lord and the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, on the same level at once becomes a Pashandi or atheist. We should never consider that the Supreme Lord Vishnu and the demigods are on the equal footing. Another significant point of this verse is that the mind of the conditioned soul, on account of its association with the material energy from time immemorial, contains heaps of dirt in the form of desires to lord it over material nature. This dirt is like a mountain, but a mountain can be shattered when hit by a thunderbolt. Meditating on the lotus feet of Lord acts like a thunderbolt on the mountain mind of the yogi. If a yogi wants to shatter the mountain of dirt in his mind, he should concentrate on the lotus feet and not imagine something void or impersonal. Because the dirt has accumulated like a solid mountain, one must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for quite a long time. For one who is accustomed to thinking of the lotus of the Lord constantly, however, it is a different matter. The devotees are so fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord that they do not think of anything else. Those who practice the yoga system must meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time after following the regulative principles and thereby controlling the senses. It is specifically mentioned here, Bhagavatash Charana Ravindam. One has to think of the lotus feet of the Lord. The Mayavadis imagine that one can think of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma or the goddess Durga to achieve liberation. Bhagavata is specifically mentioned. Bhagavataha, means of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. And no another significant this verse is Shivaha Shiva Bhut, vicious. But since he has accepted on his water, which emanated from the lotus feet of the Lord, he has become even more auspicious and important. The stress is on the lotus feet of the Lord. A relationship with the lotus feet of the Lord can even enhance the importance of Lord Shiva, what to speak of other ordinary living entities. Text, what is the text? 23. The yogi should fix in his heart activities of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all demigods and is the mother of the Supreme Person, Brahma. She can always be found massaging the legs and the Lord, very carefully serving him in this way. Purport. Brahma is because his father is Garbhodakashai Vishnu. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is automatically his mother. Lakshmiji is worshipped by all demigods, the inhabitants of other planets as well. Beings are also eager to receive favor from the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi is also in massaging the legs and thighs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, who is lying on the ocean of Garbha within the universe. Brahma of the goddess of fortune, but actually he was not born of her womb. Brahma takes his birth from the abdomen of the Lord himself. A lotus flower grows from the abdomen of Vishnu, and Brahma is born there. Therefore, Lakshmiji's massaging of the thighs of the Lord should not be taken as the behavior of the ordinary wife. The Lord is transcendental to the behavior of the ordinary male and female. The word abhavasya is very significant, for it indicates that he could produce Brahma without the assistance of the goddess of fortune. Since transcendental behavior is different from mundane behavior, it should not be taken that the Lord receives service from his wife just as a demigod or a human being might receive service from his wife. It is advised here that the yogi always keep this picture in his heart. The devotee always thinks of this relationship between Lakshmi and Narayana. Therefore, he does not meditate on the mental plane as impersonalists and Voidists do. Bhava means one who accepts a material body, and abhava means one who does not accept a material body but descends in the original spiritual body. Lord Narayana is not born of anything material. Matter is generated from matter, but he is not born of matter. Brahma is born after the creation, but since the Lord existed before the creation, the Lord has no material body. But anyone else would like to read? John, Sanjay? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You were
We can never say together, but this means yes or maybe.
Sorry, yeah, walk away. Wait, mute. Okay. Catch my good side?
Yes.
So, number 24. Next, the yogi fixes his mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead's ties, the storehouse of the all energy. The Lord's ties are whitish blue, like the luster of the linseed flower, and most graceful when the Lord is carried on the shoulders of Garuda. Also, the yogi should contemplate his rounded hips, which are encircled by a girdle that rests on the exquisite yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles. I haven't figured out how to use it. Sorry. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of the head is the reservoir of all strength, and his strength rests on the ties of his transcendental body. His whole body is full of opulences, all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. The yogi is advised to meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord, beginning from the soles of the feet and then gradually rising to the knees, to the thighs, and finally arriving at the face. The system of meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead begins from his feet. The description of the transcendental form of the Lord is exactly represented in the Archa Vigraha, the statue in the temples. Generally, the lower part of the body of the statue of the Lord is covered with yellow silk. That is the dress the Lord wears in the spiritual sky. This cloth extends down to the Lord's ankles. Thus, since the yogi has so many transcendental objectives on which to meditate, there is no reason for his meditating on something imaginary, as is the practice of the so-called yogis whose objective is impersonal. Text number 25. The yogi would then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel is the foundation of the entire universe, a stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resemble a pair of most exquisite emeralds, and which are whitish because of the rays of the milk-white pearl necklaces adorning his chest. Purport. Srila Prabhupada. The yogi is advised next to meditate upon the navel of the Lord, which is the fountain of all material creation. Just as a child is connected to his mother by the umbilical cord, so the firstborn living creature, Brahma, is connected to the Lord by a lotus stem. In the previous verse, it was the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who engages in massaging the legs, ankles, and thighs of the Lord, is called the mother of Brahma. But actually, Brahma is born from the abdomen of the Lord, not from the abdomen of his mother. These are inconceivable conceptions of the Lord, and we should not think materially. How can the father give birth to a child? It is explained in the Brahma Samhita that each limb of the Lord has the potency of every other limb. Everything is spiritual. His parts are not conditioned. The Lord can see with his ears. The material ear can hear but cannot see. But we understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Lord can also see with his ears and hear with his eyes. Any organ of his transcendental body can function as any other organ. His abdomen is the foundation of all the planetary systems. Brahma holds the post of the creator of all planetary systems. Engineering energy is generated from the abdomen of the Lord. Any creative function in the universe always has a direct connecting link with the Lord. The necklace of pearls which decorates the upper portion of the Lord's body is also spiritual, and therefore the yogi is advised to gaze at the whitish luster of the pearls decorating his chest. Text number 26. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his neck of the Personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustuba gem which hangs on his chest. Purport, Srila Prabhupada. In the Upanishads, it is said that the various energies of the Lord are working to create, destroy, and maintain. These inconceivable varieties of energy are stored in the bosom of the Lord. As people generally say, God is all-powerful. That prowess is represented by Mahalakshmi, the reservoir of all energies, who is situated on the bosom of the transcendental form of the Lord. The yogi who can meditate perfectly on that spot, on the transcendental form of the Lord, can derive many material powers, which comprise the 8 of the yoga system. It is stated herein that the beauty of the neck of the Lord enhances the beauty of the Kaustuba gem, rather than vice versa. The gem itself becomes more beautiful because it is situated on the neck of the Lord. A yogi is therefore recommended to meditate upon the Lord's neck. The Lord's transcendental form can either be meditated upon in the mind or placed in a temple in the form of a statue and decorated in such a way that everyone can contemplate it. Temple worship, therefore, is meant for persons who are not so advanced that they can meditate upon the form of the Lord. There is no difference between constantly visiting the temple and directly seeing the transcendental form of the Lord. They are of equal value. The advantageous position of the yogi is that he can sit anywhere in a solitary place and meditate upon the form of the Lord. A less advanced person, however, has to go to the temple, and as long as he does not go to the temple, he is unable to see the form of the Lord. Either by hearing, seeing, or meditating, the objective is the transcendental form of the Lord. There is no question of voidness or impersonalism. The Lord can bestow the blessings of transcendental pleasure upon either the visitor of the temple, the meditator yogi, or one who hears about the Lord's transcendental form from scriptures like the Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. There are 9 processes for executing devotional service, of which smaranam or meditation is one. yoga process, whereas Bhakti yogis take special advantage of the process of hearing and chanting. Yeah. 27. The yogi should further meditate upon the Lord's forearms, which are the source of all the powers of the demigods who control the various functions of material nature. And the yogi should concentrate on the polished ornaments, which were burnished by Mount Mandara as it revolved. He should also duly contemplate the Lord's discus, Darshan Chakra, which contains 1,000 spokes and a dazzling lustre, as well as the conch, which looks like a swan in his lotus-like palm. All departments of law and order emanate from the arms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The law and order of the universe is directed by different demigods, and it is here said to emanate from the Lord's arms. Mandara Hill is mentioned here because when the ocean was churned by the demons on one side and the demigods on the other, Mandara Hill was taken as the churning rod. The Lord in his tortoise incarnation became the pivot for the churning rod, and thus his ornaments were polished by the turning of Mandara Hill. In other words, the ornaments on the arms of the Lord are as brilliant and lustrous as if they had been polished very recently. The wheel in the hand of the Lord, called the Sudarshan Chakra, has 1,000 spokes. He is advised to meditate upon each of the spokes. You should meditate upon each and every one of the component parts of the transcendental form of the Lord. It's a lot of meditating.
It says for a long time.
For a long time. Yes. Eternally. Number 28. Translation. The yogi should meditate upon his club, which is named Komodaki and is very dear to him. This club smashes the demons, who are always inimical soldiers, and is smeared with their blood. One should also concentrate on the nice garland on the neck of the Lord, which is always surrounded by bumblebees, buzzing sound. And one should meditate upon the pearl necklace on the Lord's neck, which is considered to represent the pure living entities who are always engaged in his service. Purport Srila Prabhupada. The yogi must contemplate the different parts of the transcendental body of the Lord. Here it is stated that the constitutional position of the living entities should be understood. There are two living entities mentioned here. One is called Arati. They are averse to understanding the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From them the Lord appears with his hand clutching the terrible mace, which is always smeared with bloodstains from his demons. Demons are also sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, all the different species of living entities are sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are two classes of living entities who act in two different ways. The Supreme Lord keeps on his neck those living entities who are pure, as one protects the jewels and pearls on the bosom and neck of one's body. Those living entities in pure Krishna consciousness are symbolized by the pearls on his neck. Those who are demons and are inimical towards the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are punished by his mace, which is always smeared with the blood of such fallen living entities. The club of the Lord is very dear to him because he uses this instrument to smash the bodies of the demons and mix their blood. As mud is kneaded with water and earth, so the earthly bodies of the enemies of the Lord are the atheists are smashed by the club of the Lord, which becomes muddied with the blood of such demons. Yeah. Okay. We can do maybe till 30. And we're 29. Translation. The yogi can meditate on the lotus-like countenance of the Lord, who presents his different forms in this world out of compassion for the anxious devotees. His nose is prominent and his crystal clear cheeks are the oscillation of his glittering alligator-shaped earrings. Shark-shaped earrings. Oh? I thought they used to be shark-shaped earrings. I've heard shark-shaped earrings.
Song we sing
Yeah. Anyway. Hare Krishna.
We can check. Maybe there's two different translations.
Purport Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is sent. There is appearing incarnation in the world. Whenever religious principles and there is irreligion, the Lord is sent action of the devotees and the destruction of the non-devotees. When he appears, his main purpose is to give solace to his devotees. He does not have to come himself to destroy the demons, for he has many agents. Even the external energy, Maya, has sufficient. But when he comes to show compassion to his devotees, he kills the devotees as a matter of course. The Lord appears in the particular form loved by a particular type of devotee. There are millions of forms of the Lord, but they are one absolute. As stated in Brahma Samhita, Advaita Chutam An Adim Ananta Rupam. All the different forms of the Lord are one, but some devotees want to see him in the form of Radha and Krishna. Others prefer him as Sita and Ramachandra. Others would see him as Lakshmi Narayan. And others want to see him as four-handed Narayan, Vasudev. The Lord has innumerable forms, and he appears in a particular form as preferred by a particular type of devotee. A yogi is advised upon the forms that are approved by devotees. A yogi cannot imagine a form for meditation. Those so-called yogis who manufacture a circle or target are engaged in nonsense. Actually, a yogi must meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead that has been experienced by the Lord's pure devotees. Yogi means devotee. Yogis who are not actually pure devotees should follow the footsteps of devotees. We mention here that the yogi should meditate upon the form which is approved. He cannot manufacture a form of the Lord. Okay. Number 30. Translation. The yogi then meditates upon the beautiful Lord, which is adorned with curly hair and decked by lotus-like and dancing eyebrows. A lotus surrounded by swarming bees and a pair of swimming fish will be put to shame by its elegance. Purport Srila Prabhupada. Important statement here is Dhyayen Mano Mayam. Mano Mayam is not imagination. Impersonalists think that the yogi can imagine any form he likes, but as stated here, the yogi meditate upon the form of the Lord which is experienced by devotees. Devotees never imagine a form of the Lord. They are not satisfied with something imaginary. The Lord has different eternal forms. Each devotee likes a particular form and thus engages himself in service of the Lord by worshipping that form. The Lord's form is depicted in different ways according to scriptures. As discussed, there are 8 kinds of representations of the original form of the Lord. These representations can be produced by the use of clay, stone, wood, paint, sand, etc., depending upon the resources of the devotee. Mano Mayam is a carving of the form of the Lord within the mind. This is included as one of the 8 different carvings of the Lord, not imagination. Meditation on the actual form of the Lord may be manifested in different manners, but one should not conclude that one has to imagine a form. There are 2 comparisons in this verse. First, the Lord's face is compared to a lotus, and then his black is compared to hummingbees swarming around the lotus. And 2 eyes are compared to 2 fish swimming about. A lotus flower underwater is very beautiful when surrounded by hummingbees and fish. The Lord's face is self-sufficient and complete. His beauty defies the natural beauty of others. There you go now, lads. Now, you go home and meditate on the lotus feet. See, you have the description here and just down in your mind. Put it. So that's it.
Is
For
there
now.
any drawing like that? Yeah. With the white toenails and
Oh no, not that at all. Specific.
very, very, very specific. Yeah.
Very specific.
It's been means everything is very
Precise.
precise. So I have thought of painting that.
I know. Excuse me.
Even some of the summer, one of the
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's such a nice artist too.
not sure where.
Not in this.
They're not in this. Yeah, they're
Not
not
in
in
this one.
They just
Usually they're in the middle. Okay.
we check now. We have homework.
Yeah, no imagination.
Well, I have. I'll check my books at home and see if they are there. Okay.
But remember, always start with feet.
Always there with the feet. Yes. Even just take a picture of
Yeah.
Radha Krishna's feet and bring it home, and or Radha Govinda or whoever.
But you go first. Your face is so glowing. The very first thing you say is feet. Yeah. So you have in that mind, okay, I have to see feet. But as soon as you enter the temple,
Yeah, you see the face.
yes, you see the beautiful glowing face.
Yes, I know.
Radha Krishna.
Some devotees always keep check out feet only. Feet, Radha Krishna's feet.
Ah, yeah. Who was saying, one devotee was saying he saw the Prabhupada, he was bowing down, and he was kind of respectful, of course, also to not to directly in someone's eyes for I don't know for how many minutes. He just saw Prabhupada on the feet. He would just be he would at the feet and meditate on the feet, and then only they would start conversing face to face, eye to eye. Maybe as this kind of go and not just go direct, and just kind of go into just look at his eyes, bow down and then look into his meditate. It's actually
Very humble.
experiencing being there for minutes. Whatever was going on around, it was just fixed. It's one of the memories.
Hare Krishna.
Go.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow?
It's Friday.
Friday. Tomorrow, 6:30 to 7. And then hopefully 6:30. Maybe 7.
Use that prod, whatever.
Yeah, that's the project.
You need gold.
Goat.
Yeah.
We need goat.